If you're a singer, and if your pitch as a singer has ever felt inconsistent, unreliable, or even stressful, here's the good news. It's not in your ear alone. Pitch is a coordination, and coordinations can be trained. I'm Darcy D., your virtual voice coach, and welcome to today's webinar. I'd like to begin by welcoming and wishing everyone a Happy New Year. Happy 2026. This being the first webinar in this year's series, and incidentally, in 2026, there will be 26 webinars. Interesting. So I thought it would be appropriate to begin the series for this year by continuing the work of helping singers understand why pitch slips, and more importantly, how to fix it. So as far as all the fundamentals and all the concentrations of learning how to be an effective singer, I think pitch is one of the most important. And unfortunately, in order to gain accurate pitch, you must secure all of your concentrations. So as we go along today, I know I've already done a webinar on pitch, but I think it's that relevant and that important that we can go through this again and again and again. I run into singers all the time that I work with that there's just challenges with the pitch, and yes, it may correlate to other concentrations that are out of balance, but this is extremely important. So, and we'll probably do more on this as well. If you have any questions, any concerns, you can't hear me, you want to say something, please put it in the chat, and we'll get to it. I'd like to answer all of your questions. So what we're doing when we work with pitch is we're training the ear and we're training the body to secure the notes. And again, accurate pitch is one of the most essential concentrations every singer must master. And yet for many singers, getting there can feel elusive and even frustrating. So today's goal is simple. We're going to try to demystify what pitch is and provide some clear, repeatable strategies. And I want to show you how to practice pitch correctly using the app. And if you're not an app user, this is something you may want to look at because there's tools in there that will assist you in gaining accurate pitch. The first thing I want you to hear clearly is that pitch is trainable. This is not a talent issue. It's not something you're born with or not born with. And most pitch challenges are coordination problems, not hearing problems. And pitch isn't just something you hear, it's something you feel. That's why today's work, we're going to connect directly to the deep practice exercises. Deep practice exercises, it's a way of conditioning your voice to respond by habituating the muscles and the neuron paths associated with making said sound. So practicing the exercises, first the correct exercise and then doing the exercise correctly will give you the results you're looking for. This is where the coordination, the awareness, and the repetition come together. So just to sort of review what pitch is and what it actually is, it's the number of vibrations per second measured in hertz. So middle C oscillates at 261.63 hertz. A440, that's 440, and A above that is 880. So it all correlates to the piano, and we use that piano to measure what we're doing. The correct note is always called the fundamental frequency. If you sing above it, you're sharp, which means the vibration rate is a little too fast. If you sing below it, you are flat, which means the vibration rate is a little too slow. So the piano gives us a visual and auditory reference that we can hear, and then the brain has to train the muscles required to activate the vocal mechanism to get to that correct oscillating frequency or pitch. As pitch rises, so does the number of vibrations. So here's where singers often miss the point. Pitch lives in the body just as much as it lives in the ear. resonance, vibration, resonance, where we feel it gives us that location. So, and I think the challenge for singers that have, let's say extreme pitch issues is that they're familiar with the resonance values in their body in chest voice, where they speak, where we all speak. This is chest voice where I'm speaking. We're familiar with that. And if you're new to singing and you're trying to now sustain these speech forms and then take it into a higher pitch, you're taking it into a resonance area that you're unfamiliar with. So as pitch rises, resonance naturally moves upward, and as pitch lowers, resonance moves downward toward the chest. So we call this sympathetic vibration or sympathetic resonance. And it can help you locate pitch even before you lock it in. So your body is the tuner and the piano is just the reference. I like to say the piano is a measuring stick. It's the tool we use to measure where we are in our register. And another thing I want to add is that a lot of times singers select songs or music where the voice and the pitch is just outside of their body's tuner. The key needs to be changed, either lowered or raised, to accommodate your voice. So this is also true in exercise. If your body is the tuner and the piano is just the reference, one of the most common mistakes you can make is to try to force the pitch instead of finding it. So forcing the pitch will lead us to activating the tends to, which could be flipped voice, or pulled chest, instead of finding the notes. The piano is neutral. It never lies. All pitch work should reference A440 tuning. What that means is the piano's tuned to A440, and that's an international standards tuning. And then pitch memory is built through the repetition of that tuning, because most every song you will try to sing is tuned, or the music, the piano, the instruments are tuned to that very same tuning. So it's not effort, it's repetition. And there's a simple practice example, and this is really true for those of you who are just beginning to use your voice in a sustained fashion to sing. It's recommended that you can just, if you're having trouble with pitch and you know you're having trouble with pitch, it's inconsistent, you can't seem to find the notes comfortably, then what you need to do is just say a note, any note. And then sustain or hold that note. And then what you want to do is you want to find that note on the piano. I just happen to be singing an F sharp 3. And that for me is very comfortable. Here in Canada at this time of day, it's early, just after 11 a.m. I did a quick warm-up, but I'm not completely warmed up. And today, that's where this comfortable note is for me. I can find that. It's easy. And then from there, I will repeat that note to stabilize it. So if we go, and then I wanted to move this, let's say we're going to do a 5-tone scale. And I like the 5-tone scale because the notes are close together. So as we move from one note to the next, it should be relatively easy because we're not changing the fundamental frequency that much physically as far as the vocal cords are concerned. And I know for a lot of you this is a little basic, and for some of you this will be enlightening. So I found my fundamental frequency today that's very comfortable. Now, just so you know, open vowels are probably the most difficult to stabilize because there's nothing to sort of reinforce where you are, what you're doing. And so I always recommend putting a consonant with the open vowel because consonants will either interrupt, inhibit, or allow airflow. So if we use a consonant that interrupts, like say a B, And then I go back to this very comfortable for me F sharp today. Ba, 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 ba. And the idea is to repeat that until it feels very, very comfortable. Ba, 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 ba. And then as far as the scale is concerned, we're going to move up to the next note. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Suddenly I'm finding the notes, right? If you find when you do this, it's like ba, 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 ba. That would be more of a chromatic, which is not a bad approach to take as well. So in the scale, we've got, these are the notes. If we did it chromatically, we get more notes, and they're even yet a little more close together. So we could do ba 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 ba. It might be boring, but it'll help you secure the muscle memory. The repetition of it will secure the muscle memory, and then these notes will become easier till eventually you can look at the scale. Ba 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 ba. And now, here's what I want to do. I want to introduce you. Come on now. Everyone get along. Sterling, I see your question. I will get to it. Okay, so if we go in here to the 5-tone scales, this is the anatomy of the 5-tone scale. And I like these exercises because we really tear apart the 5-tone scale. You can apply this to absolutely any scale you're using. So if we look at that 5-tone scale, right now, in here, it's going to tear it apart, and it's something like this. So we're going to start with the first note. Bop, 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 bop. And then you just keep moving up the scale. It's very important that you do it where it's comfortable and it's not going to fall apart or begin to strain. The anatomy of this 5-tone scale and the major scale exercises, these are like best practice tools for building pitch accuracy. And what will happen is over time, you will get to a place where it's really easy and you can do it without the piano. Bop, 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 bop. Ba 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 ba. And then you can remove the consonant ba You can do them all, and then you'll find that the pitch will become more accurate if you don't cheat, and the repetition of that will produce the muscle memory required so that you're not going sharp or flat. All right? Hi, Tony. I see you. Tony, bonjour, all the way from France. Love it. Nice to see you again. So why do singers go sharp or flat? Pitch issues usually come down to unbalanced concentrations. So again, you can go back to the first webinar on pitch where we talk about all those concentrations: breath, vocal cord closure, laryngeal tilt, and finally vowels. So if those concentrations are unbalanced, you're going to find issues with your pitch. You're going to find issues with a nice balanced connected tone. Everything's going to come into play for this. So every singer is coordinating multiple systems at once. If pitch is inconsistent everywhere, meaning everywhere you begin in the scale, that means that there is an imbalance globally. There's an imbalance with all of your coordinations. If pitch slips only outside of your comfort zone, chest voice, for example, that's usually a partial imbalance. So if I'm and I go that means that's probably an imbalance with the head voice muscle, the cricothyroid. And it could be an imbalance with the lateral cricoarytenoid, the muscle that brings the vocal cords together. It could be an imbalance with the position of your larynx, lower, higher, neutral. So And this is really important because if the pitch slips when you go into higher, that's information, not failure. That doesn't mean you can't do it. It means that we haven't coordinated the right muscle memory to make this happen. So that's very important. Now, do you have a partial imbalance or do you have a global imbalance? Meaning everywhere you go in your register, if it sounds like that even in your chest voice, well, that's more than likely a sign of someone that hasn't used their voice in a sustained fashion before, or very often, outside of yelling, right? Because when you yell, hey, you kind of sustain. So I hope that makes sense. Pitch sticks through habituation, not brute force. So you don't want to force it, because that's just going to lead to other habits that we're going to have to untangle down the road. And it's important that pitch is fairly accurate before you begin habituating all your other concentrations. So in the past, I've said things like we have those 4 concentrations: breath, vocal cord closure, tilt of the larynx, and the vowels. And those 4 concentrations lead to accurate pitch. That's number 1. Accurate pitch, pure vowels. Ease and presence in your voice. Is it easy and comfortable? Does it have a nice tone? Your transition available and intact. And lastly, vibrato. So vibrato, that's like the badge of maturity, right? But the first and foremost is pitch. If your pitch is accurate, it will assist your training the voice to become less squeezed, less gripped, less pulled, less flipped. It will start to balance. You'll become a blended voice, mixed voice singer, and then you can start strengthening all those processes. Comfort zones must expand slowly and intentionally. Your voice doesn't rise to the occasion, it falls back on training. Right? So you're going to a place in song where your voice has been before in exercise. Right? So your voice doesn't rise to the occasion, doesn't shove to the occasion, doesn't flip to the occasion. It falls back on your training, and you go to these notes, these fundamental frequencies, through your vowel consonant combinations in a sustained fashion, and the crowd applauds. That's the goal, right? Before I continue, I think I'm going to get to some of these questions. There are a few. Okay, is it possible to at least some of the time sing a song in its original key, even if it's outside of your resonant space? It's a good question. Outside of your resonant space, let's clarify that for maybe the new people. The resonant space, or what I like to call the active and balanced part of your vocal register, where it's comfortable for you, from the lowest note you can sing to the highest note. If the song you're singing, the frequencies of that song fall within that, so let me just, go here. So let's just say my lowest note is here and my highest note is here. So between this note and this being chest voice and this being head voice, unless you're a soprano, then you're in mix, this would be comfortable. If the song happens to go outside of that, that's not going to be comfortable. So you can sing, yes, some of the song, but when you get to the part of the song that is outside of the working part of your vocal register, there are going to be challenges. You can face these challenges by changing the vocal approach. For example, if you have to go outside of your transition and the song that you're singing, this note is a connected tone, and say your highest note is here, then you might have to go falsetto, because otherwise it's going to be strained. Now, there's exceptions to every rule, and there's exceptions to every rule that we exceptionalize. So it's like a rabbit hole when you get down that path. But it's ideal to choose a key that's comfortable. Now, the second part of this question: in performance, is it true that going sharp is braver and comes across more pleasing than being flat, which to the listener feels safe and untrained? I remember hearing it from a singer that it's okay to go sharp because the audience feels you're going for it, but being flat is just totally bad. Well, I think, and here's the thing, like even if you're not a singer and you're listening to someone sing and the note is supposed to be here and they go here. Now, if you're playing to music which is tuned to the F and you're singing the E, this is what you get. So I'm going, ah. That's flat. Does sound horrible. Now, to dive further into your comment, if we went to F sharp, this is the note we need to be singing, and I go, it's going to sound like someone in the band is doing something wrong. So I don't think it's okay to be sharp or flat. All makes sense. Perfect. I think there's an addendum here. Sometimes just because I can sing it here in this key, should I? How is the tonal quality of my voice being affected? Would I sound better if I changed the key? Yes, and this is very common. And sometimes what I do for singers that want to learn a song, that if we lower the key, it becomes too low in the verses. And if we raise the key, it becomes too high in the chorus. There's really no give and take there in this instance, and therefore maybe it becomes more of an idea of changing the melody to suit your voice. Now, that's dangerous if it's a classic tune that you're trying to replicate, but if it's a song that you have to change the melody of to meet the level your voice is at, that might be a good thing, because then it starts to put your stamp on it. It's no longer a song by whoever you're covering. It's your version of that song. So there's a lot of ways to do this, and you're going to have to pick songs, unfortunately, that are within the confines of your God-given body, which the size and shape of your body depicts where you are in the register. If you set yourself up to have consistent, viable exercise routines that are effective for your voice, and you stay within the confines of the working part of your register, you will not have a problem, and your range will eventually go up, and it will come down a little bit too, and you'll be able to do things with your voice that you never could before, and it's just part of it. Let's just recap so far. So we know that pitch is singing the fundamental frequency. We know that the fundamental frequency means the note that we're actually singing. And then as we move up and down in pitch, we want to be able to find and activate each and every one of those notes to eventually the point of sustain. And the best way to secure and habituate this process is scale repetition, right? And we use scales tuned to a piano so that we're tuning our voice to international standards tuning. I encounter many singers who have, very little challenge moving up with the scale through their transition and into head voice. It's the descending pattern sometimes that trips us up. So all that means is we live in chest voice. I'm accustomed to starting in connected tone chest voice and moving through to head voice. I may not be accustomed to starting in head voice and moving down to chest voice. It's a different mindset, and I'm going to try to explain why here. So I know this is my transition. I know that this is my mixed blended tone belt area, where I'm utilizing the muscle groups of both chest and head voice. Once I come up here, this is head voice dominant position. And if I was to start in head voice, number one, I'm forcing my instrument to release to a point where I can find that note. I've got the note. Now I need to come down. Oh, that could happen. And what's happening there is I've thinned out the vocal cords, and I've maintained a connection that when I come to the bottom, I don't put what we say the weight back on to the chest voice. The chest voice muscle is a bigger muscle. So when I come back down, I've got to think about connecting the bottom again. there I am. So when this happens to you, if you're doing this is in a descending octave pattern. So it's 1, 3, 5, and then the octave 1 again, or 8, as some say. So when I come back down, what I can do is I can put a repeater on the bottom. And what's that's going to encourage me to habituate that, finding that bottom note and putting the weight back on it again. So it's not ba, 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 right? Which is in tune, but it's disconnected somewhat. So if I ba, 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 so sometimes what I do is we'll start on the bottom, ba, 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 we find that position, and then from there we go right to the octave, ba, 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 right? And then it's all connected. And I notice I'm using a vowel with two consonants, a B and a P. And these consonants stop airflow, and they allow the vocal cords to reset for each note. So I don't have to think about scooping, which is something else we'll get into in a bit. So this is something that you could do, and you train this pattern. This pattern is in the app in the exercise toolbox. There's the octave down. If you find that something isn't secure in any one of those notes, try the descending octave repeater. And this pattern is usually going to descend. Right? So this note is a place in my chest voice I'm very familiar with. This note, maybe not so much, right? So if I find it, and then you keep coming down. And you keep coming down. Till you get to a point, that's about it probably, because I don't want to squeeze it. Make sense? Then you can do the pattern opposite. Make sure, now, if you're a tenor and an alto, make sure that you're getting through this transition, right? So you're going to start, for me, I'll start here. That's going to make sure I've got a connection on the bottom. Bop, 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 bop. And I'm going to be able to find that top note. Bop, 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 bop. Right? Now, you don't want to start too low, because then you might pick up too much weight by the time you get to your transition. This is why it's important to know what voice type you are. If you are a bass, this is your transition. If you are a baritone, this is your transition. Tenors and altos, sopranos. It's important to know where to begin. So if you're using the app, using these scales, you want to start where it's comfortable. So because, for example, in the male voices, it might start too low for you. Let it come up, begin. As soon as you start to feel something loosening, say in the top, you just rewind. You can do the 15-second rewind loop for 10 minutes. It's going to be good for you. And then so what we're doing is we're getting in the pattern of positive muscle memory training. And for that, we can use the 5-tone scale. We can use the descending 5-tone scale, the descending 5-tone scale repeater, the triple 5-tone. This is going to challenge your breath flow. And this is going to challenge, being able to sing longer lines. There's the major scale. And the reason why we do this, again, to scales is because these patterns stabilize the pitch and they reinforce what we're doing. And we can do the notes from any chord. We use what we call the 1, 3, 5. And the 1, 3, for example, it's going to challenge us mentally and physically. So we mum, 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 and then the 5. Mum, 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 till eventually you can find each and every one of those notes. Mum, 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 that at the octave. Mum, 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 mum. It's all about your mum. So these patterns stabilize pitch because they reinforce predictable intervals. Now, slow tempos allow accuracy to settle. If we slow these down and you start to become accurate with the delivery of the pitch, that enforces muscle memory faster than if you wanted to skim over it. There's a time and place for doing exercises quickly, and that is after you've attained positive pitch. so that the pitch is very accurate. Then we want to work on the coordinations. Right? So that we can start to flow a little bit more. It leads to riff and run and stylistic approaches. Let's look at some of the takeaways now. So pitch is coordination. Pitch lives in the ear and the body. So what we hear and what we are able to replicate mechanically. Slow practice builds security, and the piano is your measuring stick. The piano is your anchor. So if possible and whenever, usually always, practice to a piano or to the scales. Singing a cappella is fine as long as you know you're in the correct place. So you get your note, then you go ahead and sing a cappella. And if you wanted to record yourself singing a song, for example, get your starting pitch, sing the verse, and then listen back to it and make sure it's in tune with the recording of that song. And that'll tell you how much muscle memory you have built up. Accuracy comes from awareness, not effort. So again, using the piano will give you that awareness to help you reconcile whether or not you're in the correct place, whether or not the correct muscles are being used effectively to make that pitch in tune. So I encourage you all to revisit that deep practice module. It won't just help secure the pitch. It will improve overall coordination and control of your voice, and to practice daily, right? Even 5 to 10 minutes, 1 or 2 times a day, and up to as many times a day as you feel comfortable doing. You must do this until the exercise itself becomes slightly boring. And that means that it's time to change the exercise and do something a little bit more coordinated, more complicated, which will lead to becoming more of a stylized singer. So as usual, I want to thank you all for sharing the magic with me, and I'll see you in 2 weeks where we do another webinar, and the topic will be revealed shortly. By the way, if you have something that you want me to unpack in one of these webinars, by all means, I work for you, so let me know what you want to talk about, and we'll do it. If you can hear it, feel it, and repeat it, you can sing in tune. So, and this will lead to you being able to sing for yourself.